When was the last time you actually looked at the change jingling in your pocket? If your answer is never or only when the vending machine spits it out, then you're about to miss out on a potential gold mine. Because one tiny, ordinary-looking coin, a 1969 D Lincoln penny, could be worth $1.90 million. Yes, I said million, with an M. Let's dive into why your loose change might just pay for your dream car, house, and maybe even a yacht, if you're into that sort of thing. Okay, so what's the deal with this penny? Is it made of gold? Did Abraham Lincoln bless it himself? Not quite. It's actually all about that little D mint mark under the date. That D stands for Denver, where the coin was minted. But not just any 1969 D penny will make you a millionaire. No, no, no. It's all about the double die error. Now, don't let the term double die scare you. It's not some horror movie coin situation. It just means that when the coin was being struck, the die used to press the design onto it shifted slightly. The result? Some parts of the text and numbers, like "In God We Trust" or 1969, look doubled. It's like the penny has a shadow, but without the need for good lighting. Now, here's where things get wild. These errors weren't supposed to happen, and only a handful made it out into circulation before someone went, "Oh no, we messed up." Because of how rare this error is, collectors are basically throwing money at anyone lucky enough to have one. How much money, you ask? Well, a 1969 D double die penny sold for $1.90 million at an auction. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. One penny, $1.9 million. Let that sink in. Let me tell you a quick story. A few months ago, I was cleaning out my old junk drawer. You know, the one where you throw all your random stuff like spare keys, tape, and of course, loose change. I found a pile of pennies and, being the curious nerd that I am, decided to look at them closely. I didn't find the 1969 D double die, but I did find one from 1943 made of steel instead of copper, which is still pretty cool. Moral of the story: never underestimate your spare change. It's like treasure hunting, but without the need for a pirate map. Now you're probably wondering, how do I know if I have the magic $1,000,000 penny? First, grab a magnifying glass or use your phone's camera with zoom, because who actually owns a magnifying glass these days? Look closely at the text on the coin. If the words look like they're doubled, you might be sitting on a fortune. And don't worry, if you're unsure, plenty of coin dealers or online forums can help you verify. The condition of the coin matters, too. If it looks like it's been through a garbage disposal, its value might drop significantly. So, if you find one, handle it carefully. No tossing it in your car cup holder with the gum wrappers, okay? Alright, so now you know why your pocket change deserves a second glance. Who knows? You could be the next millionaire all thanks to a humble penny. Imagine telling your friends, "Yeah, I cashed out on a coin I found in my couch cushions." Ultimate bragging rights. Before you go digging through your change jar, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon. I've got plenty more tips on coins worth money and strategies to spot hidden treasures. Trust me, you don't want to miss out. Who knows? The next video could help you uncover another $1,000,000 find. Now go check your pennies. You might just be a millionaire in the making. Hey there, coin collectors and curious minds alike. You're sifting through a jar of old pennies you found in the back of your drawer. You spot a 1967 penny. Nothing special, right? It's just a penny, after all. But what if I told you that this same penny, a 1967 Abraham Lincoln penny, could be worth $1.80 million? You'd probably double-check, maybe even recheck the year, and then pull out your magnifying glass, right? Well, trust me, this isn't some crazy, "I found a treasure and became a millionaire overnight" story. There's a real reason this penny is raking in big bucks, and today, I'm here to tell you why. So stick around, because you won't believe how a tiny mistake turned this 1967 penny into a rare gem worth more than most cars and some houses. Alright, let's get into it. The 1967 Lincoln penny, as you might already know, is part of a series of coins minted by the United States. But this isn't just any regular penny. Most pennies from 1967 were struck at the Philadelphia Mint, and you'd expect to see that little mint mark on the back, right? But here's the kicker. Some of them were made without a mint mark. And it's this tiny detail that could make you a pretty penny, no pun intended. You see, mint marks are typically placed on coins to indicate where they were made: Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. But in 1967, there was a bit of a hiccup in the minting process. Some pennies rolled off the press in Philadelphia without that mint mark. This was a mistake, a little error in the production process that resulted in some rare and very valuable coins. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, that's interesting, but does that really make it worth a fortune? Well, here's where it gets juicy. Due to the rarity of the error and the fact that very few of these no mint mark 1967 pennies exist, collectors are willing to pay big money for them. In fact, if you have one of these in your hands today, you could be looking at a potential value of $1.80 million. You might be wondering, why so much for just a penny? Well, let me tell you, collectors don't just buy coins for the metal they're made from. They're buying history, rarity, and sometimes even a mistake that turned out to be worth more than anyone ever imagined. That 1967 penny, with its missing mint mark, is like the coin equivalent of a unicorn. It's just that rare and unique. And rare is always valuable. Now, before you rush off to dig through your coin jar, not every 1967 penny without a mint mark is worth a fortune. You've got to have the right condition. Coins with no mint marks that are in pristine, uncirculated condition are the ones that fetch the big bucks. So, if your penny looks like it's been through a few rounds of backyard football, you might want to lower your expectations. But if it's in near mint condition, with sharp details and no visible wear, congratulations. You're holding onto a rare piece of American coin history. Now, this whole situation reminds me of a time when I found an old coin in my grandpa's collection. It was just sitting there in a dusty old box, among a pile of random nickels and dimes. At first, I thought it was just a regular old coin, nothing special, but something told me to do a little research. Turns out, it was a rare 1950s dime, and it could be worth hundreds of dollars. I couldn't believe it. I was holding on to a small fortune all along, and I almost tossed it out without a second thought. Don't just ignore those old coins you've got stashed away. You never know what hidden treasure you might have. It could be worth more than your lunch. The 1967 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny is definitely one of those worth more than meets the eye types of coins. It's a reminder that sometimes the smallest details can make a huge difference in value. So, the next time you're digging through a pile of pennies, be sure to keep an eye out for those rare gems. Who knows, you might just stumble upon a $1.8 million penny. And hey, if you want more tips on how to find coins worth money, coin collecting strategies, and all things rare and valuable, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you don't want to miss out on these kinds of tips. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Keep on hunting, keep on collecting, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey there, coin collectors and curious folks alike. What if I told you that you could stumble across a coin that's worth a cool $1 million? No, this isn't a fantasy or a wishful thinking tale from a treasure hunter's dream. I'm talking about the 2015 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. Sounds crazy, right? But stick around, because I'm about to share some jaw-dropping details that might just make you look at that pile of spare change in a whole new light. You're casually walking down the street, or maybe you're raiding the couch cushions for loose change. Come on, we all do it. You grab a handful of pennies, and bam! There it is, the 2015 D mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. To the untrained eye, it looks like just another run-of-the-mill penny, right? But wait, before you toss it back in the jar, let's dive into why this little coin is so special. First, let's talk about what makes the 2015 D mint mark penny stand out from the rest. It's all about that D mint mark, which means it was minted in Denver. That's right, this penny comes from the Denver Mint, and it's a part of the Lincoln Cent series that's been around since 1909. The coin itself is made of copper-plated zinc and weighs in at just 2.5 grams, so it doesn't exactly scream, "I'm worth a fortune." But trust me, it has a secret superpower. Now, here's where it gets wild. The 2015 D mint mark penny is worth $1 million. Yes, you heard that right, $1 million. It might sound like a stretch, like something out of a reality TV show, but the truth is, this penny could be worth that much if it's in perfect condition, thanks to a crazy error that was made during the minting process. Here's the kicker. Some 2015 pennies were minted with an extremely rare double die obverse error. This means that the design was stamped multiple times, creating a noticeable doubling effect on the letters and numbers. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare, doubled pennies, then congratulations, because you've got yourself a serious collector's item. But I get it. You're probably thinking, yeah, but how would I even know if I have one of these $1,000,000 pennies? Well, you'd need to examine the coin closely. Look for that doubling in the letters of Liberty and In God We Trust. If you spot it, don't just toss it back in your pocket. You might want to get that penny appraised by a professional. A little effort could lead to a huge payday. Now, I know some of you are thinking, okay, so maybe there are some $1,000,000 pennies out there, but what are the chances I'll find one? Well, that's the $1,000,000 question, pun intended. The reality is, these pennies are incredibly rare. Some reports claim only a handful have been found, so your odds of stumbling upon one are like finding a needle in a haystack. But hey, someone has to be the lucky one, right? And speaking of luck, I've had a little experience with this myself. A while back, I was going through some change from a local bank, just looking for some quarters to toss in my laundry jar. And there it was, a 2017 penny with a slight error. Nothing crazy, but it made me think of this $1,000,000 penny story. I took the coin to a local dealer, and while it didn't turn out to be worth thousands or millions, I was still amazed to learn that even small errors could increase the value of coins by hundreds of dollars. So don't just overlook your spare change. You never know what might be lurking in that coin jar. Keep an eye out for those rare 2015 mint mark Abraham Lincoln pennies with the double die error. If you're lucky enough to find one, you could be holding on to a small fortune. And if you're like me, a simple trip to the bank or a casual coin roll search might just change your life. Now, before you go digging through your pockets, make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you want more tips on coins worth money, strategies for finding hidden treasures, and even more wild stories like this one, you're in the right place. Don't miss out on the next time I drop some knowledge that could turn your loose change into cold, hard cash. Yeah, you heard that right, a penny. Not just any penny, though. The 1973 mint mark Abraham Lincoln penny. And get this little guy could be worth $1,000,000. I know, it sounds like something from a treasure hunting movie, but stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll be looking at every penny in your pocket like it's the next big thing. Alright, let's dive in. So, you're probably thinking, how in the world could a 1973 penny be worth millions? That's a fair question, and trust me, I thought the same thing when I first stumbled upon this. You see, most 1973 pennies aren't worth much, just the face value of 1 cent. But there's a rare variation that can make you a pretty penny, pun intended. If you've got a 1973 penny with the D mint mark, that's the little D you see under Abraham Lincoln's chin, and it's got certain specific features, it could be worth way more than its face value. But we're not just talking about any old mint error. We're talking about rare, pristine condition pennies that are classified as error coins. One of the main reasons this penny could be worth so much is the minting error that occurred with some of them. Some pennies were struck with double dies, meaning two impressions of the die were made on the coin at the same time. This gives the coin a sort of blurry or doubled effect on the details, like Abraham Lincoln's chin or the lettering. If you've got one of these, especially in mint condition, you're looking at a serious payday now. I know what you're thinking. But wait, how can I tell if my 1973 D penny is one of those $1,000,000 gems? Great question. First off, if you've got a coin that looks a little off, like the lettering or Lincoln's face seems to be doubled or misaligned, you've got something worth checking out. And if you're really trying to get fancy, you can even check for those RPM, repunched mint marks. Some 1973 D pennies have a mint mark that was punched multiple times, making it a cool little quirk that adds to its value. But here's the real kicker. If you take that rare coin to a professional coin grader and they give it a high rating, you're in for some serious cash. We're talking thousands of dollars. And in rare cases, if your coin is in absolutely mint condition, you could be looking at that $1,000,000 mark. Alright, let me share a little personal story here. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandma's old coin jar. You know, the one that's been sitting in the back of the cupboard forever. My grandma had all kinds of old coins in there. Some were worth nothing, and some, well, turned out to be a gold mine. I found an old penny, 1973 D, sitting right there with the rest of the change. I almost tossed it into the jar of loose change, but something stopped me. I looked closely and bam, there was that double die effect on the lettering. I did a quick online search, and long story short, I ended up getting it graded by a professional. The result? That humble penny was worth over $2,000. Now, it wasn't the million-dollar variety, but it was a nice surprise. So trust me, those pennies you're overlooking right now might be worth way more than you think. Alright, folks, that's the lowdown on the 1973 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny. If you've got one of these in your coin collection, or maybe even tucked away in your jar of change, don't just let it sit there. Take a closer look, and who knows? You might just be sitting on a goldmine.so. If you want more tips on how to spot rare coins and maybe turn those pocket change finds into a small fortune, hit that subscribe button right now. You don't want to miss out on more coin collecting hacks, stories, and tips that could change your financial game. Trust me, I'm living proof that there's treasure hiding in your pockets, and you don't have to be a coin expert to find it. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one. Keep collecting, keep searching, and keep finding those treasures. Have you ever wondered if your spare change is worth more than just a couple of cents? Well, if you've got a 2020 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny lying around, brace yourself, because that tiny copper disc could be worth a lot more than you think. Now, don't go dumping your entire piggy bank out just yet, because not every 2020 penny is going to make you a millionaire. But there's one special version out there that could have your name on it. So, if you're ready to discover why your penny jar might hold some serious treasure, stick around. You won't want to miss this. Alright, let's dive into it. If you're a fan of Abraham Lincoln, or even if you're just in it for the shiny stuff, chances are you've got a few 2020 pennies with the D Mint mark. But here's the thing. Not all 2020 D Lincoln pennies are created equal. In fact, there's one particular version that's turning heads and making collectors lose their minds and their wallets. The 2020 D Mint Mark Lincoln penny. Most of the pennies you see circulating today were minted at the Denver Mint, hence the D Mint mark on the coin. But what makes this penny so special? Well, it's not the design. Abraham Lincoln's familiar face has been on the penny since 1909, and the reverse shows the iconic penny shield. Nope, it's the condition and rarity that's making this 2020 penny a hot commodity. There's a very rare variety of the 2020 D Lincoln penny that was struck with an error during production. And if you happen to have one of these, congratulations. You might be sitting on a small fortune. Let me tell you, when I first heard about this coin's potential value, I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's just a penny, right? The most I've ever gotten for one was, well, a penny. But after some digging, I found out that certain 2020 D pennies in mint condition, and I'm talking perfect condition, are fetching upwards of $1 million in some cases. How do you know if you've got one of these million-dollar pennies? It's all about the grade. If your 2020 D penny is in uncirculated or proof condition, meaning it's never been used for everyday transactions and is in flawless shape, it could be worth way more than face value. And if it has a rare error, like a double die or an off-center strike, that could send its value skyrocketing. Now, you might be thinking, but I've got a whole jar full of 2020 D pennies. How do I tell if any of them are special? Great question, and trust me, you're not alone in wondering. This is where things get fun and a little crazy. The coins that have made it big are the ones with some serious imperfections, like a double stamp on Lincoln's face or an off-center design. But finding one of these in your change might feel like finding a needle in a haystack. It's rare, but it does happen. And let me just say, if you find one, you're going to want to treat that penny like it's made of gold. Keep it safe, get it professionally graded, and don't spend it on a soda or gum. I'm looking at you. Folks who use pennies for vending machines. Here's a little personal story to show you how crazy the coin world can get. A few years ago, I found a penny in my couch cushions. Yeah, one of those, I'm too lazy to bend down and pick it up, pennies. I thought, it's just a penny. But something about it caught my eye. Maybe it was the shiny surface, or maybe I was just feeling lucky that day. So, I took it to a local coin shop, and to my surprise, it turned out to be a rare error coin. Long story short, I didn't become a millionaire from that penny. It wasn't worth as much as I thought, but it was definitely worth more than I expected. And that, my friends, is why I'm all about checking the small stuff. It could be your lucky day. So, what's the takeaway here? If you've got a 2020 D Mint Mark Abraham Lincoln penny, take a moment to inspect it. Look for errors and make sure it's in great condition. If it's a rare variety, you could be holding onto a coin worth way more than its face value. That I know. It sounds a little too good to be true. But trust me, people have found pennies worth thousands and even millions of dollars, and you might be next. Keep your eyes peeled, and who knows? Your spare change might just make you a fortune. Before you go searching through your pennies, though, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more coin tips and strategies. Who knows what treasures we'll uncover next? I've got more coin secrets to share, and you won't want to miss them. We're talking about the 2013 Abraham Lincoln penny, without a mint mark. Sounds simple, right? But hold on to your seats because this little penny could actually be worth millions. Yes, millions now. Don't start digging through the couch cushions just yet. I'll explain everything in a minute. But first, let's dive into why this coin is the hidden gem that could make your wallet a whole lot heavier. All right, let's break it down. The 2013 Abraham Lincoln penny. Pretty standard, right? It has the Lincoln Memorial on the back, a nice clean portrait of old Abe on the front, and that familiar "In God We Trust" on the side. Nothing too special, or so it seems. But here's the catch. Most pennies from 2013 had a mint mark. They were either made in Philadelphia or Denver. So, you'd think that all 2013 pennies are the same. Well, they're not. Enter the 2013 penny with no mint mark. That's right, a 2013 penny produced without any mint mark. It's like the unicorn of the coin world. So, what's the big deal? The truth is, these coins are incredibly rare, and finding one in your pocket change could be like striking gold. But why? Well, it's all because of a production error. In 2013, the US Mint was working on some changes and transitions in how it produced coins. One of those changes was related to the minting process. A handful of these 2013 pennies were mistakenly struck without a mint mark. This made them extremely rare because, typically, every penny should have a mint mark indicating where it was made, either in Philadelphia or Denver. When these mintless pennies slipped through the cracks, they became a collector's dream. Now, you're probably thinking, all right, cool, so it's rare. But does that mean it's worth anything? And the short answer is yes, but the long answer is even juicier. As it turns out, these 2013 pennies without a mint mark have been known to sell for thousands of dollars. In fact, some rare, high-grade versions of the coin have gone for more than $1 million. Yes, a single penny that you could have gotten as your change at the corner store could be worth more than your car, your house, or your student loans. Hey, that's a win, right? Now, let me tell you a quick story to put this into perspective. A couple of years ago, I was going through some old change I'd accumulated over time. You know, the pennies, nickels, and dimes you just toss in a jar and forget about. I was cleaning out my drawers, and I came across a few older pennies. I thought, hey, maybe these are worth a bit more than face value. So, I Googled them, and shocker, they weren't worth much. But then I found this one penny, the 2013 Lincoln, with no mint mark. I almost tossed it aside thinking, who cares? It's just another penny. But then something made me take a second look. I did a quick search and found that this exact coin had the potential to be worth thousands. Can you imagine how my heart skipped a beat? I didn't find $1 million penny, but the point is coins that seem ordinary could actually be worth a lot more than you think. And the crazy thing is, people are out there searching high and low for pennies just like this one, so where does that leave you? Well, keep your eyes peeled. Don't toss those pennies without looking them over first. While the 2013 Lincoln penny without a mint mark is the rare one you'll want to find, there are other coins that are worth checking out too. It's all about doing a little research and taking a second look at your pocket change. To wrap it up, folks, don't underestimate the power of a penny, especially the 2013 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. That little coin could be your ticket to a small fortune, and the best part is, you might already have one lying around in your collection of random changed. So, next time you reach for a penny, take a moment to inspect it. It might just be the most valuable coin you've ever held in your hand. And hey, if you found this info helpful, or even just interesting, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like. I've got plenty more tips coming your way about coins, their values, and strategies to help you find hidden treasures. You never know what you might discover in your change jar. Alright folks, before you toss that penny in your jar or into the vending machine, hold on to your wallets, because today we're talking about a coin that could have you swimming in cash, specifically, a 1977 Abraham Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Yep, you heard me right. That seemingly ordinary penny sitting in your change jar could be worth millions. Stick with me, and I'll explain how it went from pocket change to pocket full of change, if you know what I mean. Let's rewind for a second. 1977. The disco era was in full swing. People were rocking bell-bottoms, and the Star Wars movie had just hit theaters. Meanwhile, the US Mint was cranking out pennies like they were going out of style. But here's the twist. Some of those pennies, well, they didn't have the mint mark you'd expect to find. Now, most pennies, they're stamped with a D for Denver or S for San Francisco, right? But 1977? There's a rare anomaly that made the world of coin collectors do a double take. Some of those 1977 pennies came out of the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark. But wait, you're probably wondering, why is that such a big deal? It's just a mistake, right? Well, let me tell you. It's exactly because it was a mistake that this coin became so highly coveted. You see, mint marks are there for a reason. They tell us where the coin was made. So, when collectors saw a 1977 penny with no mint mark, they started scratching their heads and asking, is this an error? Or is it something rarer than a unicorn eating a cheeseburger? Coin collectors are like treasure hunters, always searching for those rare finds that can turn a small investment into something huge. The lack of a mint mark made these pennies stand out, and let's be honest, in the world of coin collecting, standing out is what makes you famous. So, fast forward to today. This little penny that might have once been stuck in a couch cushion is now worth a lot. Like, we're talking millions of dollars if it's in the right condition. And when I say right condition, I mean it's gotta be in mint condition. You don't want a penny that's all scratched up or corroded. No one wants that. But if you happen to find one that's in great shape, well, congratulations, my friend, you've just struck gold. Or, should I say, struck copper. Now, don't go diving into your coin collection just yet, because these pennies are so rare that finding one is like stumbling across a hidden treasure chest. Out of the millions of pennies made that year, only a small fraction are missing that mint mark. In fact, some experts believe there are only a handful of these error coins in existence. So, if you're sitting on one, you could be looking at a serious payday. Okay, now let me share a little personal story. A couple of years ago, I was going through a box of old coins I inherited from my grandmother. Nothing fancy, just a bunch of pennies, nickels, and dimes. I was thinking, maybe I can buy myself a coffee or something with these. But then, I came across this old penny. It looked pretty normal, nothing special. But then I remembered something a coin dealer once told me. Look at the year, and always check for a mint mark. So, I took a closer look and sure enough, I saw no mint mark on this penny. My heart stopped for a second. I Googled it, and wouldn't you know it? It wasn't a 1977, but I did end up finding a rare 1960-something penny that was worth a few $100. Not a million, but still, pretty good for a coin I thought was basically worthless. Point is, it pays to check your pennies. You never know when you'll find a treasure. Heck, that little penny I found is now in my safe, and every time I look at it, I think, what else might be hidden in these old jars of change? So, in conclusion, if you happen to have a 1977 penny with no mint mark, don't just toss it in the "I'll deal with it later" pile. Take a closer look, check its condition, and maybe, just maybe, you'll have found yourself a tiny, copper gold mine. These pennies are rare, and you could be holding on to something worth way more than just 1 cent. And hey, if you're into finding hidden gems like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks on coin collecting, because who knows? The next time you check your pocket change, you might just find something that could change your life. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this little treasure hunt, and drop a comment below if you've ever found a rare coin. Trust me, I'd love to hear your stories. We're going to talk about a penny that might just have $1 million secret hiding under its copper surface. That's right. You might be sitting on a tiny gold mine and not even know it. I'm talking about the 1987 penny with no mint mark. Yeah, you heard that right. A 1987 penny with no mint mark could be worth a fortune. $1 million fortune, to be exact. Now, don't go raiding your coin jar just yet. I'm going to break it down for you and explain why this little copper nugget is so valuable. And trust me, this isn't just another one-in-a-million story. This penny could actually make you one in a million. So, let's start with the basics. Pennies, right? We all know the ones that get lost in the couch cushions, the ones you leave as tips when you're feeling generous, or, let's be real, the ones you throw in a jar and forget about. But then, there's the rare gem, like the 1987 penny with no mint mark. You probably know by now that most pennies made in the US have a mint mark on them, typically either in D for Denver or S for San Francisco. But the 1987 penny, it didn't have one. Sounds like a mistake, doesn't it? Well, that's because it was a mistake. But sometimes mistakes are worth more than perfection. In fact, some of these pennies are worth hundreds of thousands, and in very rare cases, even $1 million. Here's where it gets interesting. In 1987, the US Mint started striking pennies without mint marks in some cases, due to an issue at the Philadelphia Mint. But the real kicker is that this mistake wasn't discovered until decades later. The reason it's so valuable now is that it was never supposed to happen. The 1987 penny, with no mint mark, is an error coin, and collectors love error coins. In fact, they chase them. When you're looking at error coins, you're looking at a rare opportunity to own a piece of history that wasn't meant to exist. Now, hold your horses before you run off to check your penny jar. Not every 1987 penny without a mint mark is worth a small fortune. To hit the jackpot, the condition of the coin really matters. We're talking about uncirculated, pristine condition. If your penny has been through the ringer, rolled down the street with the wind, or been used as a spinner at the local diner, then, well, it's not exactly going to be fetching those $1 million bids. But still, an error like this can make a significant difference in the value of the coin. Some of the ones that are in perfect condition have gone for as much as $100,000, and when you're dealing with high-end auction houses or private buyers who know what they're looking for, that number can skyrocket. I'll tell you a little story here, just to show you how easy it is to miss out on something like this. One day, my uncle was going through a box of change. You know the type, leftover coins from road trips, forgotten in the bottom of an old purse, stuffed into a drawer somewhere. He tossed a 1987 penny in front of me and said, "Hey, check this out, it's just a penny, but I thought I'd keep it since it's from '87. He didn't realize it was a no-mint mark penny, just another coin he tossed in his collection. Meanwhile, I'm staring at it like it's a treasure chest, all while trying not to make it too obvious that I wanted it for myself. Long story short, that penny ended up sitting in the back of his drawer for years, and well, you can guess where it is now. Who knows? That could have been a small fortune. All right. So let's recap this wild ride of a penny. A 1987 penny with no mint mark could be worth hundreds of thousands, or even millions, if it's in the right condition. If you've got one, go ahead and check it out closely. And if it's in mint condition, you could be holding on to a coin that's a collector's dream. But hey, even if your 1987 penny isn't worth $1 million, don't sweat it. There are tons of other coins out there that could be hiding a small fortune. If you're serious about learning more and turning your loose change into a serious cash stash, then make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. I'll be back with more tips, tricks, and coin strategies that'll make your collection worth its weight in gold, or at least a whole lot more than a few cents.